It's time again for 20 push-ups. Day number 2. All right. 1, 2, 3, 4. Ow, these are sore. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Whew. And I've got dog poop on my shoe and it just scrubbed everywhere. Sorry, guys. 12, 13, 14, 15. Whew. Getting closer. 16, 17, 18, 19, whew, 20. All right. That's it for me. See you on the show.
It's Wednesday night, and we're live from Oakdale, Washington, in the Educated Touch studio. Welcome to Ethics Outside the Box, with your host, Nathan Nordstrom. Special guests include you. Here he is, Nathan Nordstrom.
Hello, everybody. Welcome to Facebook live groups, to YouTube. Welcome to you, morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of the day it is. I hope it's a good one. Hope you're having a great time. We are doing our regular Educated Touch webinar this week, and we're going to be talking about ethics and massage therapy and really kind of connecting to other pieces of ethics and massage therapy that we really want to make sure that we're all connecting to as massage therapists. And if you're not a massage therapist, howdy, welcome to Ethics Outside the Box. Hopefully you'll be able to learn something from our ethics and take it into your own ethics. Today is more of a generalized ethics standard that I wanted to make sure to cover. So first thing I want to do is I want to come up and show you where I find the massage therapy industry's ethics standards. We want to make sure that we're all on the same page. I always want us to go to the National Certification Board of Therapeutic Massage and Body Workers. That's the NCBTMB.org. And then if you go to the bottom of any page on the NCBTMB's website, you'll find the About section. In that About section, you'll find out a lot about what the National Certification Board stands for and believes in. But if you go to Standards of Practice, that's how you get to this page. We have gone through Standards 1 through 3, and today we'll be finishing up Standard 4. And this is business practices. So this is a good standard rule for no matter what your professional standards are or what your profession is. It's good to have good business standards. So we're going to talk about N and O tonight, and then we'll go on to Standard 5 next week. Standard 5 is a big one. It is the roles and boundaries. So next week we're going to have some really fun guests on, and we'll really kind of connect there. And I'm going to sneeze, hopefully not too quickly. But so Standard N. File all applicable municipal, state, and federal taxes. That is a really blatant statement that I really think has more importance than we really connect with. So, first question is, why does the National Certification Board of Therapeutic Massage and Body Workers care if I file my taxes? Do you really think it's about the taxable income that the government makes by you doing what you're supposed to? I have to say, I don't. I don't think that's the reasoning behind it. But let's look at the other side. What is the purpose for you to feel committed to your community? Both in paying taxes so that you can pay for part of the community's wealth and part of the community's well-being. Where do your federal, state, and municipal taxes go to? A lot of times they go towards the schools, towards the parks, to the sidewalks, all sorts of wonderful things. You know what? I want to share something with you that I did. I own up to it. I thought this was humorous, so I'm going to share my own Facebook page here. Let's see. I go back here, hit share. Let's see what happens if I go to, There we go. And I'm going to go Facebook. This was a couple of weeks ago. I put a post on my own Facebook page, and I got someone a little irritated at me for posting it because they didn't think it was funny. I tended to disagree, hence I posted it. But I wanted to see what you guys thought. So it goes right along with this topic. So that's kind of a good thing for us. But I was pulled in by a piece here. Yes, and I hope you enjoyed my push-ups this before we started. Push-ups are getting hard for me. Day number 2 is usually quite difficult of any adventures that we have, and so it's a bit sore today, and maybe I'm not going to get to it. Maybe I'm just going to miss it. Happy National Massage Therapy Awareness Week. Maybe it was there. Here it goes. This is something that I thought of Eileen, my mother-in-law, when I read it. It says 10 words or phrases that too many folks say incorrectly. It says incorrect and correct. My mother-in-law loves correcting, making sure that English is said right. A mute point versus a moot point. So moot point is the correct one. Nip in the butt or nip in the bud. It's nip in the bud as you're talking about flowers. It's a doggy dog world. It's supposed to be, it's a dog eat dog world. Nuclear versus nuclear. Escape versus escape versus escape. Library versus library. And by this time, I'm really getting into it because several of these I have a real knack for, and it really annoys me to hear someone say a library. Conversate versus converse. Always or anyways versus anyway. Where are you at versus where are you? And then the number 1 was taxation, and the correct term is theft. Well, I thought that was very humorous, and so I shared it and got some comments, and one person really didn't like it. They really thought I was very unhappy with paying taxes, and I have no problem with paying taxes. I think it's humorous when you get pulled into a statement and then you find out there is a political term to it or a political twist on the end. So I looked at it and I giggled and I shared it, and then I started getting a message that really asked, well, do you not really care about your sidewalks and your roads and your streets and your community, and you don't like all these things? And it really made me kind of sad that someone would get into that statement that quickly and feel like that's my point that I'm making. So file all applicable municipal, state, and federal taxes. So what is the process of filing, and how do you do it, and why do you do it? Both municipal, state, and federal taxes. FYI, for most of my professional career, I've been self-employed. And so one thing that I knew when I was in massage school was that I was going to need an accountant, a CPA. And I've always been very happy to pay my CPA appropriately so that I can make sure that I am on top of all of my taxes, municipal, state, and federal taxes. I would much rather pay them because they stay on top of it and know exactly what's going on. And I know what I'm doing because I can ask, okay, so what municipal taxes did I have? What state taxes and what federal taxes? And what is it this coming year that I need to do to make sure that maybe I have less taxes that I have to pay next year? Not that I'm trying to avoid them. It's just that if I can work the system correctly to make sure that enough money goes into the right places, I'm more than willing to do it. Very happy to have taxes, very happy to pay them. always like to have enough money in my account. I don't think anyone wants to pay more than they owe. So that's kind of part of my own piece there, is that I want to make sure that the right amount is coming out. So making sure that you're paying your taxes is one piece. It shows that you're a community-based individual really striving to help the community grow. The other side of this is that if a massage therapist who's board certified goes to jail for tax evasion, they're probably going to say everything they can about that person. And if they can pull your name and see that you are a professional massage therapist, board certified, that's going to make the news. That's going to put a bad turn on massage therapists and massage therapy as a whole. We have enough problems with massage therapists doing things wrong, not specifically in the tax state, but doing things wrong and getting in trouble for it. So this is an important piece to be conscious of, to make sure that you're following all the laws of the land, no matter what they are, if they're in your profession or just in life. So that's a huge statement, is making sure that you're connecting with the law appropriately and doing what you're supposed to, because that's going to make you a stronger individual. All right, so we're going to head on to letter O, because this is the second piece of the business standards. You're going to see standard 4O. Maintain accurate financial records. I have seen many massage therapists who skimp on this one. Maintaining accurate financial records doesn't just mean giving a receipt out of a receipt book and then ignoring it for the rest of the year. That means that, yes, giving the receipt, but actually keeping your books, keeping your records, keeping your documents, making sure that everyone knows if they have a question about how much they gave you 6 months ago, you have the ability to tell them. Document. For many years, my financial records were on an Excel spreadsheet. That was it. Yes, I had QuickBooks and I had Quicken, and I've done all of those. But for me, initially, starting out, an Excel spreadsheet of income and expenses was so much easier. It just quickly did it. It kept them up to date. I didn't have as many challenges because I knew how it was calculating. I knew what there was and what there wasn't. As things got more difficult, then you keep better records and you change your records and do all that kind of stuff. But making sure that they're accurate and that you have those financial records in a place that you can find them just in case something happens. What types of things could happen, Nathan, where you'd have to be concerned about your records not being up to date? Well, there's a lot. The easy answer is someone could come and ask you for your finances or your records, ask you for your documentation so that you can show how much they paid. The harder answer is anything where someone accuses you of wrongdoing. Anything. Because if they can say, gosh, this person did something wrong, and I asked them for my money back and they didn't have any record of it, that's a challenge. Had a massage therapist that I learned of, sweet massage therapist. However, it had a client who came in. The client paid cash. The therapist took the cash and put it in her wallet and erased the record of her coming in. She was a one-time client. She didn't think she'd ever see her again, and just didn't take any documents at all. Just got rid of the documents, got rid of the client. Well, the client came back a couple of weeks later and did the same thing. And the massage therapist did the same thing, just kept putting it into her wallet. As she did this, it was after about the third or fourth visit that she was like, oh, well, maybe I should start keeping records. And then she thought, well, I've done it this far, and I don't really know when those other appointments were. It's going to look weird if I start documenting now. Well, by the end of the year, she had come in several times and hadn't received anything, and hadn't had any problems with it. And so by the end of the taxable year, she received a message or a form from the nonprofit that this person worked for, sending her a bill for the cash payments from Petty Cash for this person to receive massage therapy. She freaked out. She realized, oh man, I really needed to keep those up to date. And so she went back and she started trying to recreate the documents. Well, that's not good either. She did connect it with the amount that the nonprofit was saying that she had paid, but she then realized that it was more important for her to make sure that her documentation is up to date and appropriate at the time, so that she didn't have any problems going forward in the future. So maintain accurate financial records. That is a really important piece, is just making sure that it's accurate. It's quick, it's easy. If you are an employee, if you are working for a franchise, I am jealous. I'm a tad bit envious. You guys have it so much easier than when I was fresh and new in massage. We didn't have the franchise industry. We didn't have the employee base that you guys have. We had the option of going to business for ourselves or going into business for ourselves. You're either self-employed or an independent contractor. There were very, very few pieces where you could be an employee. So it was a different world for us than it is for you. You have the benefits there of being able to choose and make that work for you. And that's pretty awesome. So don't take that for granted. But that also means you still have another person to be responsible for, to making sure your documentation is correct and appropriate. Making sure your financial records are appropriate. Usually the one that gets people in trouble now is not claiming or claiming tips. How are you supposed to do that? When are you supposed to do that? If you are an employee, how do you document the tips for your employer? A lot of times, if you receive a tip, you're supposed to notify your boss of what the tip was. That can be in several different directions. Sometimes it can be going directly to the front desk in an envelope, and the front desk gives it to you. Other times, it is left on the massage table, or it's left on the counter, or it's left someplace else. But that is taxable income, according to the IRS. So financial records includes the amount that you made as an income from taxes. Okay. All right. There's another piece here. Let's make sure that we're going to that next piece. Maintain accurate financial records, contracts, and legal obligations. Yes, we're going to take these each independently. Contracts. What contracts do you have? So maintaining accurate contracts. So we can actually go a couple of different directions with contracts. The first one that usually comes up to me is the professional liability coverage. That is a contract for a 1-year period of time. If you decide that you're not going to continue with that insurance company, that's fine. You can do that, and you can switch insurance companies. The problem that you have is if you just don't renew and don't sign up with a new insurance company. The reason why that's a problem is mostly because that period of time that you are not covered, you are liable for. So let's say January 1st, 2006. Now let's go closer. January 1st, 2016, I go to one company and I get my insurance. And January 1st is coming up for 2017, and I forget to file my insurance. And so by the time March hits, I've gotten a couple of emails from my current insurer, and I go, you know what, I'm just going to go with the other guy. And so April 1st, I start with the other guy. And for 6 months, I'm insured with this other guy insurance company.com. And then I get claimed of a lawsuit from February 1st of that year of 2017. If that's the case, your current insurance company will not cover you, and your past insurance company will not cover you, because it was in that period of time when you had no coverage. And neither of them will grant you a leeway. It's a straight out legal thing. You're not able to do it. So keep yourself covered appropriately with your contracts with your insurance companies. Other contracts you got to be aware of. Any contract where you are connected with an insurance provider, making sure those contracts are up. Any contracts, I'm just going through my mind to see what contracts I've done. Any contracts where I'm going to do out-call business. I'm been an out-call massage therapist before, went to law firms and offices. And anytime you say you're going to be someplace every Monday once a month or Monday once a week to this place, you got to keep those contracts up. What happens if they don't sign a contract or you don't sign a contract? Then it's null and void. So the best thing you can do is make sure that contracts are revisited in a timely fashion, whatever the time is set up for, but you need to make sure those contracts are there. I've always said it's always best to put your contracts on a calendar. So if you have a 1-year contract for your cell phone, just before the month that the year would come up, you would put, hey, review contract for your cell phone. Or if you have a 2-year contract, same thing. Now, the thing that makes me laugh is if you look at your smartphone and you go into your calendar, you can put it right in there and really get that taken care of and have that all ready for you, no matter how many years out it is. Google Calendar has been used by the majority of the world. Sorry if you're not on Google Calendar, but it's an easy app that is really successful that you can download. And just about all of them that you have that are online based, no matter if your cell phone dies, you load up a new phone and it uploads your schedule and your calendar and all that. So that's an important piece to have. But being able to maintain those contracts. Legal obligations. What other legal obligations do you have? So legal obligations include paying your taxes, since we already talked about the applicable municipal, state, and federal taxes. But other legal obligations, if you have alimony, that's part of your legal obligation. If you have any expenses, those are legal obligations. If you have a duty, that's a legal obligation. If you are called for jury duty, sorry to say, that's a legal obligation. I know so many of my friends who just try and avoid it like the plague. I've been called for jury duty, probably 2 or 3 times, and I've gone for a day and never served on a jury. I've actually been on the other side where I'm an expert witness for massage therapists in front of a jury, but I've never been on the other side of a jury. So being conscious of your legal obligations is important. If you think of any other legal obligations, put it down in the notes below. There's a whole slew of them. Can't quite think of them right now, but it's important to know and kind of connect with what your legal obligations are here. Renewal of just about anything, including your license and your automobile insurance and all the rest of the stuff. We want board-certified massage therapists to be following the laws of the land. All right, next one, appointment records. All right. I know several people who do this in several different ways. My favorite way to do this was paper and pencil on in a calendar book. And you had all the names written down, when they came in, how long their appointment was, so just kind of what the dollar figure was, all of that. An appointment book. I have several friends who go a different direction, and they use their phone, and they use an app on there. That's absolutely legal too. That's absolutely fine as long as it is a secured app, making sure that it follows HIPAA guidelines if you have to follow HIPAA guidelines, all the rest of the stuff. I also have a lot of people who use different websites, Schedulosity or Schedulosity, something of that nature. There's several of them out there that have security built into them. And a lot of them have other things like your SOAP notes. They've got some that do all of your contracts, some of them that remember all record keepings. I mean, there's a lot of ways to do it, but appointments and records are important, because if you don't have a date and a time when a person came in, then if something happens, they don't know when they came and saw you, and you don't know how to keep yourself safe to say, this is exactly when they came in, this is exactly when they left. Okay. So appointment records, so dearly important. Tax reports, being able to have your reports scheduled and received and saved. Every year when I get my pile from my CPA, I bring it in, I check it over real quick, make sure everything's there, pay the taxes that are owed, if there always are. So I'd say if there are, but there are. Pay the taxes that are owed at the end of the year, and then I take that file and I put it on the top of all the files that I have. I then shuffle back down to the bottom, grab the last year's and pull it out, confirm that I only have that year's worth of files in there, and then shred it. I keep 7 years because that's what I've always been told. So 7 years of records. I've also heard 11, but I've always gone by 7. So taxable reports and receipts for the most recent 3 financial years is what Standard 4.0 says. So receipts are another huge question. I've owned a spa in Portland, Oregon. I have worked in high-end spas. I've worked as an employee. I've worked as an independent contractor. I've worked in an education front. And whenever we start looking at contracts versus employees versus independent contractors versus self-employed, they're all quite different. If you are an independent contractor or you're an employee, you have different responsibilities when it comes here. If you're self-employed, that is the one where you are taking on all the tax concerns, you're taking on all the responsibilities, you're also taking out and giving out all of the receipts. Now, if you're an employee, you're giving out the receipts of the business. Now, don't let me hear you say, well, then I don't really have to worry about this. You absolutely do have to worry about this. You have to make sure that that receipt's in the right place. If that owner can come back and say, oh, you know what, this employee, it hasn't been giving the documentation and the receipts, then they don't have a record, and we need to make sure that's right. There are some states where it is illegal not to give a receipt. So you make sure you give it, and if you aren't giving it and you're in a state that's okay with it, you need to offer it. You offer it and say, hey, do you need a receipt? And if they say, no, I'm good, then you go for it. If they say, oh yeah, sure, you better be able to do it. Okay. So printing up receipts. What happens? What happens when you've got a schedule to put, you've got a schedule and you're getting ready to print up the receipt and your printing device dies on you, or you run out of printer paper? Yes, you handwrite a receipt. Handwrite a receipt. It's an amazing process. You have to put the name of the business. You have to put the name of the service. You have to put the cost of the service. You have to put in taxes and your completed or your total cost with your contact information. That's what you need on a receipt. If you need to handwrite one, then being able to do it is quite easy. You just need to make sure that you remember all the pieces. And then you get that printer fixed because you really want it to be able to work most effectively. All right, so why 3 years versus 7 years? So some states do say, from what I hear, or some groups of federal government, I'm not quite sure how that all works, but there are sometimes when it's only needed for 3 years. I don't know which one, because my CPA has always said, do it for 7, call it good. All right, so once again, let's looking at the laws of the land and why it is so important that when we're talking about being a board certified massage therapist, that you are following a safe and professional business practices. We've actually had in the massage therapy profession a pretty solid black eye on this. There's been plenty of years that we should have been following it, and we haven't as a profession. Not everyone, but as a group in our profession. In that statement, if the group of our profession isn't following the law, it looks bad on all of us. There's a slew of people in our profession that I call hippies. And I'm okay with hippies. I like hippies. I think hippies are very nice. I've seen some very professional hippies. I've seen some very unprofessional hippies. And when massage therapy gets niched or directed towards one group, no matter which group, even the clinical massage therapists can be overbearing. So being able to look at each group and say, okay, so we have a group that is represented here, being able to categorically say, well, I am a fill-in-the-blank massage therapist, that's really important. I have, even if you're looking at a massage therapy salon / parlor / clinic with a title of a region. So if it was German massage or Swedish massage or Asian massage, being able to categorically define what you are, you really hope that if you're in another town and you see another person who says, hey, I do German massage, that each person would have a knowable understanding of what that is. I've seen too many geographic-based massage clinics, speaking directly of Asia massage or Asian massage or Asian bodywork places that aren't practicing Asian techniques. They happen to be talking about their own ethnicity, that they are a person of Asian descent, or they have come over from Asia. And this is not to say that they are illegal in every state. In my mind, sadly, I prefer to see that every massage therapist is represented professionally and appropriately. But there's possibility that when you look at what it means to be a massage therapist, you're going to find that other people who are not of your same professional standard are looking at massage therapy and thinking it's something different. So how do we change that? That is a huge challenge. That is a huge life force. I have heard many of the acronyms of our profession. Florida, the Federation of State Massage Therapy Boards, FSMTB, would like to have people believe that that statement is specifically human trafficking. Human trafficking is the nemesis of massage therapy, and that all massage therapy licensing boards should be fighting against human trafficking. I have to disagree. It's not massage therapy or human trafficking, and it's not massage therapy or prostitution. Massage therapy boards, state licensing boards, in my mind, are for public safety, and public safety against licensed massage therapists. Public safety against the people that they are licensing. Their purpose is to make sure that the public feels safe from you or with you. So they put in specific things to make sure that that is the case. No state licensing board of massage therapy is licensing prostitutes, human traffickers, schmuck lords, crime lords. I mean, that's not who they're licensing. Now, if there are massage therapists, licensed massage therapists, who are practicing prostitutes, who are practicing human traffickers, then yes, the state board needs to get on top of that licensed massage therapist and revoke their license. I have no concern about that. And when I see state licensing boards find people with an active license and fine them or revoke their license or whatever they're going to do, I am the first one to say, good job. However, when they're reaching out and trying to figure out how to control prostitutes or human trafficking, that's not in their scope of practice. Just like you have a scope of practice as a massage therapist, your state licensing board has a scope of practice. When the state licensing board steps out of that, they can get into trouble. So how do you make sure that you stay out of trouble? And how do you make sure your state licensing board stays out of trouble? You speak up. If you see something wrong, you bring it to their attention. If you are wondering what the state licensing board is doing, you go and find out. How do you find out? Well, there's a couple of ways. The first one is go to a board meeting of your state licensing board. Go and sit in what I call the peanut gallery. Sit in the back of the room quietly and listen to what they're talking about. That is, in my mind, the easiest way to do it, especially if you're close to the Capitol. Even if you're not close to the Capitol, you're an hour and a half away. You got 2 to 3 hour drive, hour and a half on each side or hour on each side. It's worth it to get down there and connect with the people who you are going to be communicating with if there's an accusation against you. There shouldn't be, but you can't prove that and you can't confirm that's definitely not or definitely is going to happen. Knowing several massage therapists who have been accused of misconduct reminds me again and again that it can truly happen to anyone. So it's important for you to know who those people are. Now, if you can't do that, if that's not something in your schedule, in your time, every state licensing board keeps minutes. And most of them, all of them that I know of, send out an email that says, hey, here's the minutes of the last meeting, or here's the schedule for the next meeting. And if you're not getting those, you haven't signed up on their state licensing board website. One of the things that's really important about going to your state licensing board website is if they ever change the laws, change the rules, they're going to send out a notice to say, hey, we've got new policies, new rules, new laws that we're working with, or new things that we want to find out if you think they're a safety thing or whatever it is. It's so nice to be able to connect with those people as you're looking at the possibilities of what they can change. It is your responsibility to be upholdent to the laws of the land. And if you have a state license, a license to practice in that state, you are responsible to follow the laws that are then put into effect after the circumstance, after you have received your license. So if you're responsible for it, you need to make sure that you are saying, knowing what you're saying you're responsible to. You know how most people hear about news, especially from a state licensing board? Filtered through several other people. They don't hear about it firsthand. They go about their licensing for a period of time, and then they get a renewal, and then they go to renew, and then they go, oh, wait, what do you mean you don't accept this as a continuing education class? Georgia Board of Massage Therapy is one that several years ago changed their standard for continuing education to be 70% hands-on for any live class. So they require that you have a hands-on class, and they have categories of what courses you can and what are not considered hands-on classes. That's a huge challenge for their contingency, their licensees. Because if you're not following through and following up and reading the laws, which you are supposed to do and need to do, then it comes to renewal, and you're going to renew and you don't have all the classes because you took a lecture class. That's your license. Be prepared, be conscious. It's an important thing to follow through. Now, most states aren't doing that, but I know many states who will not allow certain types of continuing education, things that are considered out of our scope of practice. For example, if rolfing is not in your scope of practice or structural integration, then that may or may not be considered continuing education. So you got to be weary and leery of that, because that can get you into trouble when you come to renew and not have enough continuing education. Also, I've been really intrigued by this one. More state licensing boards are checking the continuing education of their licensees. Oregon, I don't know if they still do, but one of my last renewals, they had a 100% check rate for if you have your continuing education done. Some boards have you do it online, and they have you put it all in, and if it doesn't calculate right, then you can't renew, or it says that you have an incomplete renewal. So it's important to really connect with those state licensing boards and follow the laws of the land by reading their minutes for their board meeting, or attending board meetings, or following through and asking the right questions. Even calling them up and saying, hey, I heard that this was being talked about. Is that true? They can give you a quick synopsis to say, yes, that is true, or no, that's not true. Here's what the actual rule is. All right. So why do you want to follow the laws of the land? Let me give you an example of a massage therapist that I knew in Savannah. There's a little law that people forget about, especially if they're moving around a lot. And that is, it's the law that you change your address on your driver's license as when you move. I think it's in most states 30 days after you move, you have to have your new address on your driver's license. So if you don't do that, what are the things that can happen? Well, had a massage therapist who worked at a spa, and he left the spa and went working someplace else. In that process, he also moved. He didn't change his license address, but he moved, just kind of forgot about it, just didn't get around to it. And at that spa, they were affronted by a customer that had seen this massage therapist and told that he sexually assaulted the person. He then had a warrant he had a summons sent to him at the number on his license, because that's where how the legal system gets a hold of you is through the address on your license. Well, he never got it. He never got the summons. So they had a court without him. They also, I think they had several that they sent out, but he was considered MIA for all of the court. And so one day, like a year later, he had someone break into his home, his new house where he was staying. And so he called the police for them to come and check out everything and file a report. In that process, he got arrested, because by the time you've had summoned so many times for something, for accused illegal action, then it becomes a warrant. And so he had a warrant out for his arrest. He was placed in handcuffs and put in jail. He's not a massage therapist anymore. And that's the reason, is he had to try and fight it, but he was already pretty much considered guilty because he avoided the court unintentionally. So when we're talking about the laws of the land, we say they're important, but do we really know how important they are? I think if we can focus ourselves and work really hard to make sure that, hey, we're maintaining our uh, taxes, we're processing ourselves and doing all of our business practices to make sure that we are um, upstanding citizens, that's where we're going to find ourselves safe and professional and productive. Um, Tax evasion, no one wants to be accused of that. Local, municipal, state, or federal, it's not worth it. Pay the taxes. Remember how excited you can be because as a tax-paying citizen, you get the privileges of having police and firefighters and city roads that work. You have a lot of times water, sewer, and electric. You've got so many benefits that come from your taxes. So making sure that those are paid for, and then making sure that your own bookkeeping is up to date. You're keeping financial records, you're contacting, you've got good contracts that are held true, legal obligations that you're following through and doing the stuff that you have to do, including changing the address on your license. Appointment records, making sure you have an appointment book, either a physical or a digital version, something that you can secure and something that can be held on to and reviewed for years. Tax reports and receiving and receipts for the most recent 3 financial years. Making sure that not only your receipts and your tax records are available, because if you do get audited, you can get audited for multiple years. So make sure you have all of that on hand. All right, so let's look at one other thing. As I said at the beginning, this is the end of number 4, and we're going to start standard number 5. But I want to kind of pre-introduce standard 5. So standard 5 is roles and boundaries. A certificant shall adhere to ethical boundaries and perform the professional roles designed to protect both the client and the practitioner and safeguard the therapeutic value of the relationship. It is his or her professional role to the certificant shall. And this is that piece where we kind of say, you have to hold standards. You have to hold the relationship that you have as a therapist sacred. I'm not going to say secret, but sacred. Something that you value and you want to make sure that your clients value. So these are pieces where how you communicate are very important. The things you say, how you work, where you work, when you work, all say something about you as a therapist. So recognizing the limited practice that you have, the limits in your practice. I'm a unique guy. I tell people this and they usually agree because I'm a little weird. But some of the things that make me a unique guy is that I'm the son of a chiropractor. And so I was raised with my dad cracking my neck. And then as my sister said, "Oh, Dad's not here. Nathan, can you adjust my neck?" You know what? I learned as a young man how to adjust someone's cervical, thoracic, and lumbar spine. Guess what? I don't do it at work. I make sure and I create a boundary. And I make sure that I know the difference between a joint thrust adjustment and a compression, because there is a difference. So as a massage therapist, know what's in your scope of practice, because that's going to make you stronger. Know the difference between transference and countertransference. Avoid dual relationships or multi-dimensional relationships. So those are all pieces that are there. Acknowledge and respect the client's freedom to choose the therapeutic session, and know when they're saying to refuse the session, when to stop. Refrain from participating under the influence of alcohol, drugs, illegal substances, and legal substances. So if you're a massage therapist and you are high as a kite, guess what? You're still intoxicated. You're not a successful therapist if you're intoxicated. that refrains from the ability to communicate safely and professionally. I'm excited to have the next couple of weeks with Standard 5 with you guys. I know we'll be able to get a lot of good things talked about as we go. If you have any stories, if you would like to join me on Ethics Outside of the Box, feel free to email me, nathan@educatedtouch.com. That is NATHAN @EDUCATEDTOUCH.com. Or give me a call at 503-706-2480. You can also find us on our website, www.educatedtouch.com. And if you want to watch more of these videos, you can go to YouTube and search Educated Touch. And the folder that these are all in is Ethics Outside of the Box. There's 3 Facebook pages you can go to. You can go to my personal Facebook page, Nathan Nordstrom. You can go to Educated Touch's Facebook page, or you can go to Ethics Outside of the Box TV show. Ethics Outside of the Box is what you would search. Ethics, outside the box. I appreciate you guys being here with me and coming in and sitting down and listening to my ramblings. I'm excited to see how our profession can grow when we actually talk about the things that are hard to talk about. If we don't talk about the things that are hard to talk about, we're going to get in trouble. So if we can talk about it and keep it safe in our industry and in our world and in our profession and in our world, then our world will be more happy to talk about massage therapy as a profession and not just a thing. Thank you. If you need anything, give me a call. Talk to you later, guys. Bye-bye.
The hour has flown by. We hope you've enjoyed this discussion with Ethics Outside the Box. As you've seen, Nathan uses many second-hand stories of ethical situations. If you'd like to share your story or you have any questions, feel free to contact him at nathan@educatedtouch.com. If you have just watched this video and would like to continue in education for home study, you can go to shop.educatedtouch.com under the home study options with the date or episode number to receive your exam. If you would please like this video and subscribe to our YouTube channel, we will keep you up to date on new videos. If you'd like to attend one of our live courses, you can find upcoming scheduled events at www.educatedtouch.com. Thank you for joining us today.